Welcome to Fundraising Stories with Female Founders. I'm Julia Elliott-Brown, the founder and CEO of Enter the Arena. I'm a serial entrepreneur and an expert in raising investment and business growth. Our mission at Enter the Arena is to empower female founders to fly through pre-raise and investment and onto the exponential growth of their business with investment expertise and business coaching. Here we share the stories of inspirational female founders who've raised investment to inspire you to do the same. You'll hear their honest accounts of what it was really like to secure funding, the highs, the lows, and the challenges they experienced on the journey. And along the way, we'll discuss top tips for how you can be successful too. So today we're talking with Daisy Hill from the Edtech startup Zzish. Now, Zzish is an education technology platform that enables teachers and parents to understand children's learning gaps and then finds educational apps and resources to help each child progress. So it's kind of all about getting the best education apps and resources into the hands of every learner in the world. So for example, a child in the Philippines should be able to pick up a smartphone and use it to become an aerospace engineer if they want to. And what makes Zzish brilliant is that they save so much time for teachers personalising what they teach. And this enables them to make a real difference for how each child learns, which is amazing. Zzish is already used by over 200,000 teachers and 2.5 million students worldwide. So the business is going great guns. Daisy joined the company as the COO at quite an early stage in 2016 to support the founder, Charles. And Daisy brought with her a decade of experience working in tech ventures across a wide range of disciplines, including marketing, operations, and account management, and also raising investments. So she's got some great skill sets for the business. But when Daisy joined, Charles had already raised, I think, over $1 million in seed funding from angels and through Innovate UK grants, but Daisy went on to lead the next two raises of £2.1 million in funding through a crowdfunding round, which has really enabled the company to scale to 30 people in 3 different countries. So I'm super excited to hear about Daisy's experience with crowdfunding, what she learned, and the advice she has for other female founders. So welcome, Daisy.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. So a huge congratulations on your raise. What an amazing achievement. And so you've done 2 different rounds on Crowdcube, is that right?
Yes, we did one in 2017, a big round, and then we've just closed one in August 2018 as well.
Fantastic, that's great. So I mean, as I said in the intro, you'd already had some institutional investment and angel investment on that round. So what made you decide to go for crowdfunding? I'm really interested to know.
God, I mean, a lot of different reasons. I mean, first, I guess it's kind of important to say that with crowdfunding per se, certainly equity crowdfunding anyway, it's never really just crowdfunding. So we went into crowdfunding knowing that we had some really supportive current investors. So that we could kind of use to seed a crowdfunding round. I think the other thing that's really appealed to us about crowdfunding actually is the kind of international reach it has and the online kind of presence. So you've got basically like an online marketing page that can be sent out to anyone in the world from any industry. You know, you can reach hundreds of thousands more people than you would ever be able to, and it kind of just casts your net quite wide. And also, I think for us, we're an edtech company, so the social impact side of things does get kind of hearts and minds quite a lot. So it does appeal to that, just that general crowd investment too. What I have found about crowdfunding as well is that actually just kind of putting my administrative hat on here, it's practically really easy. So you can get investors to invest any amount, and it's just with a debit card as opposed to having to process everything yourself. And also because of the nominee structure, unless they're kind of a big ticket investor, actually, it doesn't mean your cap table has 500 people on it. It's you can keep it a bit more clean because of the nominees. So
yeah, it's great. It's great, that nominee structure thing, isn't it? Because it didn't used to be the case with all the crowdfunding platforms, but they seem to have all moved that way now. So that just means that, as you say, instead of having 200 people on your cap table, you just have the crowdfunding platform, and then they manage those investors for you. So
yeah,
nice. And your existing investors then, were they were they really supportive of you going out and doing the crowdfunding round?
Yeah. Yes and no. I think there is a kind of, so with, I guess, all funding rounds, what really your kind of big existing investors want you to do is kind of get on and grow the business. And obviously fundraising is always, for the CEO, certainly quite a big distraction. So there was maybe a little bit of concern that because of the amount of work that goes into doing a crowdfunding campaign, because it is a lot of work, that might be a distraction. I think what did kind of allay their fears, I guess, is because I kind of came on with that knowledge of fundraising, and I kind of look after sort of 90% of their campaign. It meant that actually it wasn't as much of a distraction for the CEO. And so once that was kind of settled, then yeah, they were super supportive. And, you know, it's quite exciting crowdfunding, so it was nice for them to be a part of it as well.
That's really good. I mean, how did you feel? Were you nervous, like, before you started this crowdfunding round? Were you thinking, oh my God? Because it's very public, isn't it?
It's so public. It's one of those things that you never feel that you're quite ready. And you go, oh no, I haven't done this bit yet, or I need to talk to this person first. There's so much that goes into it. Eventually you have to go, oh, you know, let's just do it. Yeah, I mean, the second round I was actually more nervous than the first. The first round, even as we were kind of preparing to crowdfund, got like a load of momentum. Had, you know, like I said, our existing investors was really supportive financially. We got a fund involved from China, so I kind of knew we had enough financial backing at this point to kind of just go into it and go straight away. But I mean, it was more successful than I thought. I think we managed to close it within about 3 days, raised it up in 24 hours. So yeah, it was super exciting, and it was kind of one of those things that I'd seen when I kind of looked at other crowdfunding founders. I was like, how do they do that? So that was amazing.
Well, that's the magic. I mean, that's the magic, though, isn't it? And it is, I think, for other entrepreneurs, they look at crowdfunding campaigns, and some of them do fund really quickly. There is that thinking of like, oh my God, how did they do that? I mean, so I want to ask you a couple of questions around how you structured that, because there's something around how much momentum you had in advance. So how much of the round you had committed before you go out to crowdfund, but also how you set your target to make sure that you do get this done really quickly. Tell me about how you structured it. Can you share some of that?
This is such insider secrets, isn't it? How you kind of targets and things like that. Yeah, I mean, the last thing you want to do is publicly fail, like you said. So I think the campaigns that I've seen fail haven't been bad campaigns, or, you know, there's very often nothing to do with the actual business. But I think you need to understand that a lot of it's a sense of people getting involved in something that seems really big and kind of that already has momentum. So you need to make sure that in, you know, private mode or yourself, you've put in so much groundwork to make sure you get that momentum. You cannot leave crowdfunding to guesswork. So you can't just put it online and go, oh yeah, like loads of people, like all the ones all the other ones I've seen will pile in. It doesn't work like that. So yeah, I think the first round, certainly we were pretty sure that about 2/3 of the round was going to come in already. And
because I know, you know, you hear this rule of thumb, which is like you've got to have a third of the round committed, but I don't think that's enough.
I think
because I think you've got to get beyond 50% for people to even start thinking maybe.
I wouldn't go live without 60%, actually.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? There are a lot of campaigns that go out there when they've already got 100% in the bag.
Yeah,
I don't think people know that, so we need to tell people these secrets, because
it
makes me weep when I see campaigns going up that start with 10% or 20%, because you know off the bat it's probably not going to work.
Yeah, it makes me so nervous. And you see, I think people need to be really clear about this, because you can, not right up until you go live, but before you've taken any investment on the crowdfunding platforms, when it's you know, before you kind of put it in private mode, so your existing investors can put money in, like you can change your target. So if you don't think you're going to raise 500,000, like, then put that you want to raise, I don't know, 400,000 or something, and then at least you know you'll get that. And then probably actually what will happen is you'll raise twice as much, because you've kind of passed that. So it is
the psychology of it all, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's the psychology of it. But I think I guess, you know, the reason that I'm talking to you today is to kind of, I guess, give advice to people who are looking at fundraising and thinking of all the options. So that's just super important.
A lot to think about around how much momentum you have, targets, adjusting that to make sure that you've got that success, really, really important.
Yeah, exactly. And do you know, actually, our last funding round, we put it in, so you put things in private mode, so people can put money in before it goes to the public. And actually, we put a fairly low target on private mode because we had some follow-on investments, and then shared the private mode on just on networks, and then we're expecting it to be a couple of weeks, and then actually hit target on that within about a day. Someone saw it who we didn't know and put the £50,000 investment in, and so actually we kind of got momentum even like that, which makes me really interested. I think a lot of it is about networks and that.
Yeah, well, and I think that's a really great point you make, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize how much financial support there might be within your own network, as you say, from people who you don't expect it from, or someone who's a connection of a connection. So you can kind of go quite wide with that, and you never know what you might find when you turn over those stones, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's, I guess, pretty like my number one tip actually for for anyone, apart from don't set your target too high. My number thing.
Do you know, I mean, like, what in terms of like when you've got the round done, in terms of the amount of funding that came from people you knew versus from the crowd itself, do you know what the split was on that?
Yeah, so if I look across the whole kind of just over 2 million we've raised on Crowdcube, I think probably just over 50% was follow-on investment from existing investors, which is always a good sign for anyone who's going to put new money in. Then people we actually knew, people sort of direct connections will probably be another 25%, and then I'd say 25%, the other 25% was crowd. But by crowd, it's hard because you do so much of your own marketing and reaching out to networks, encourage people to share it. You don't know necessarily who's found you totally cold or is part of the platform's crowd and who's yours. It's actually quite hard to say.
So yeah, I think another thing people don't realise, they think, I could put my crowdfunding campaign up and then the crowd will come in. And actually, I think the 80-20 rule generally applies. It's usually around 80% of your hard work and then maybe 20% from the platform. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, there are exceptions. I think with some kind of consumer-facing fintech, for example, you might get a lot of that's just quite easy to digest as an investment. You might get a bit more, but no, otherwise it's definitely 80-20.
So what about the whole process of getting up on the platform? Tell us about how you found the kind of admin and the legal process of getting it all ready.
Way more work than I actually thought, as you probably know. I think what they kind of do, just not to scare people off, is you kind of go through it gently. So you're like, oh, and the next step is this, and then there's another next step and another next step, which is, it's good for investors, because actually, if I was looking at it the other way, I kind of want to know that a platform had gone thoroughly through the legals and done the due diligence. But the due diligence process of crowdfunding investing involves things like finding someone's employer from 10 years ago and asking them to write a reference saying the exact states they'd worked there. And
I remember having to go up into my mum's loft to try and find, my degree certificate.
Yes.
I was like, really? The due diligence is very, very thorough, isn't it? They have to verify absolutely everything that you say.
Yeah.
As you say, is good, but for the entrepreneur, it's quite painful.
So yeah, and then you kind of become sort of everyone in the business's worst enemy, because they're trying to do their job, and I'm going, that's good, but do you mind finding your degree from your PhD from 15 years ago or something like that? So it's very, very thorough, and does take a bit more. You kind of have to allocate a lot more time to it than you think. But again, when you do sort of groundwork for the next round, or when you have to do due diligence again, everything's already verified, so it doesn't take time.
Yeah, it's a good process to go through, isn't it, having all that stuff ready? So okay, so let's talk about the roller coaster of emotions that comes with crowdfunding, because you're doing it in normally it's either 30 days or 60 days or a lot faster. What was it like for you emotionally going through that round?
Every emotion, I think. it's kind of, you get quite excited about doing it because you know that you're doing something quite big, and you're putting yourselves out there. There's some like fairly intense moments of panic when you think that actually you're not going to raise any money at all and your business is going to come crashing down in front of everyone. It's quite exciting when you actually do go live, and you kind of refresh the page a lot and people are putting money in and you can kind of see who it was and get super excited. It is exciting. I think our last round we kept it open for quite a bit longer, so you actually have a lull where you kind of forget about it for about 2 weeks, and then you have a sort of big push at the end. Coming off and staying up until midnight, posting forum updates every 2 hours, and then you can get, I think we got about in our last round, certainly in the last evening, I think we probably got about 25% of our investment just in that.
Amazing, isn't it? I think that's really good for people to know, because you're holding on. It's like a white knuckle ride until the end, and then a lot of people do pile in right at the last minute, don't they?
Yeah,
you don't know whether it's going to happen or not.
No, I know, but you have to remind them. If you don't keep reminding them, they don't know, because it's probably it's top of your agenda. Like, I was sort of sitting there with my sister interning for meeting Nando's at 11 p.m. refreshing up the page, but they don't care, so you kind of have to.
Yeah. And did you find that a lot of work, that kind of keeping the marketing communications going through the campaign to keep reminding people of what you wanted them to do, which was invest?
Yeah. I think you become, if you can be reasonably organised and start writing a few things in advance, so you can kind of keep people updated with interesting stuff, but it's not too reactive. I think that's quite nice. I guess the workload actually with crowdfunding. So because you're reaching out to, I don't know, about 1,000 people, and some of those people are, people who are like totally bought into your vision, are really excited to be part of it. You kind of have an amazing dialogue with. Some people, you get people who, I'll be honest, they never want to invest and just want to have quite a fun time criticising businesses and scrutinising things, and because you're quite laid bare, so you share actually all your financial documents and your entire business plan and loads of stuff that any member of the public wouldn't normally have access to. So that does put you under a lot of scrutiny and also a lot of questions, and dealing with that and I guess filtering it and prioritising that is a massive workload. You get a bit smarter as the time goes on of doing it, and also actually, to be honest, a lot of the questions are the same, so that makes things easier.
You can build a bit of a bank of Q&A, can't you?
Yeah, exactly.
It's very true. I think it's often those crowdfunding investors that ask you more questions and want to scrutinise even more deeply that are the ones that don't invest, or they invest very little. But it is quite challenging, isn't it, when you've not done it before, to try and sort the wheat from the chaff on that front.
Definitely. And I think crowdfunding is interesting because, and I know certainly the platforms have done quite a lot of marketing around this, but it's not, we love actually for us, because, we teacher focus, and we want parents to sign up to our platform, so please put in £10 to our platform and become kind of connected to us for life. That's really cool. But also actually there's some really big, good tech investors who use crowdfunding platforms now, and I guess just because of the ease and the kind of ability to know that things due diligence has been done, you don't have to spend your time going to syndicates. So it's surprising how the caliber almost of people you do meet.
That's right, yeah. And you mentioned before about the fact that it's a great way to have such a global reach with your campaign. Did you actually get much investment from outside of the UK through crowdfunding?
Yeah, loads. So our founder, going back to the networks thing actually, so our founder, he's one of those sort of overqualified people. He was Google's first ever tech employee outside the US. He's got PhD from Oxford, undergrad from Cambridge, MBA from London Business School, you name a network that's slightly prestigious, he's in it. So actually kind of reaching out to, again, not people we actually knew, but I actually would kind of reach out to a load of people in those networks, and they're all over the world now. So we've got, you can't actively market to America actually when you're investing. So, but a lot of people who are I guess from America had found us and invested. So it's really, really big in the tech scene. So we had something like 13 or 14 angels from Google invest, maybe 5 people from Facebook. And quite a lot of big tech investors somehow found us.
So using Charles's networks was a really important partner, I guess.
Oh, yeah, absolutely crucial, definitely. And I think it's interesting. And actually, do you know what's been really good about that is that because we had quite a big tech network, and we have quite a few junior people in our tech team. You know, there's people who are super, super clever but don't always have as much life experience. And so actually we've had people come in and mentor them.
Okay.
And kind of, so we're kind of getting that, it's not just money, we're getting that input into our business from crowdfunding investors, which I just never would have thought.
That's incredible. So you've got all those hundreds of investors who are not just kind of brand ambassadors for you, but actually bringing their skills into the business for you.
Yeah, exactly. And advocates as well. So some people, one of our investors who's Brazilian, lives in London, but he knows a big school chain in Brazil and was introducing us to people there as soon as he'd invested. And also, you just by crowdfunding, your network suddenly becomes absolutely huge, and everyone's super happy to help you because they're invested in you. So.
Fantastic. And what do you do to manage that huge pool of investors you have now? Because there's a lot of them.
I know.
How do you deal with it?
It sounds like weird. It's fairly, at the moment, I mean, this is famous last words, fairly lightweight. I think people are happy just to hear from us every 3 or 4 months and see that things are going well. If we ask for help, we normally get it. And that might be introductions to people. Sometimes I guess when we were looking to do another round, we obviously suddenly became a lot more active, and I'm sure that will happen again. Yeah. But no, it's a fairly I mean, it's kind of meet people for coffees. We've always said we're quite open. You know, people can come in and meet the team whenever they want, and we're more than happy. Not everyone wants to actually, but we're very much an open house at Zzish. So.
But great point you make. If you ask for help, you get it, and I think a lot of people are nervous about asking, but if you get it. Okay, so, I mean, I want to talk to you a little bit about this whole thing about investors coming in from the outside of the UK, because I don't know what your experience is talking to investors here in the UK, but versus those outside. But have you seen a difference in the risk profile of investors from outside of the UK versus inside of the UK?
Yeah, definitely. And actually, I guess it is across many industries, but being in education technology, UK VCs really do not invest in education technology at our stage. It's to the point where you'll kind of meet someone and they'll go, well, very often they'll have tried to, or in 2015, there's a lot of edtech investment. A lot of it was single apps as opposed to kind of platform approach we have, and a lot of it, a lot of the investments haven't really gone well. So I can kind of see where do you have a risk profile. But I think that's the same across a lot of industries, and there seems to be a bit of actually the stage we're at, which is kind of in between seed, looking towards Series A. There just feels like quite a big gap in funding. When we talk to US investors and investors from China, I mean, certainly in our industry as well, as about 100 times more investments outside, because there have been some quite big success stories, I guess, partly because of the markets they operate in, but also, like you suggest, because of the risk profile. I think that might be to do with the kind of success metrics. I think the UK success metrics are quite specific about kind of, this much revenue by this date compared to this size of your team, this much investment. Whereas if you look at outside the UK, there's other metrics like growth. So we had sort of 6x growth in a quite a short period, but found it really hard to raise from UK VCs because we were kind of pre-revenue, because we were scaling a freemium model for all sorts of reasons. So yeah, I think unfortunately, I really hope it changes, because we have the amount of talent in the UK is insane for the size, obviously. But I agree at the moment. It's
quite
diverse.
I mean, do you think that's something you would look at in the future, is going to US investors, particularly given that you're doing a lot of business in the States, aren't you?
Yes, definitely. We're already actively kind of talking to various US funds in kind of preparation for raising a Series A. Actually, because we have a presence in Southeast Asia as well, so we've kind of been talking to quite a few funds in Singapore.
Okay.
And kind of I guess with kind of funds where we're kind of operating in their territory. With US investments, certainly at the sort of stage we're looking at, you do really have to set up over there. We're selling over there, but if we want to do that, we do kind of have to factor in, I guess, almost fundraise for also about $1 million for a US office. So.
Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, I do get a lot of entrepreneurs say, "Oh, I know what what do you think? Should I go and raise in the States?" And I'm like, "Well, it's an option, but you need to be there. You need to have a presence there. You need to have a strategy to build it in that region, because investors want to invest close to home generally, in an area that they know well." So, okay, interesting. And what about? I mean, it's an interesting dynamic you have, isn't it? Because you're not actually the founder of the business, yet you're the one that's going out and doing the raise. How has that dynamic been? Have you found any challenges around that?
Yeah, I mean, it's because I'm not the founder. For all intents and purposes, I'm more than happy. I like going to events. I like reaching out to people. I love talking about the business. It makes me super excited talking about the impact we have. But I think I've been given a lot of, I guess, Charles, CEO, is very super supportive of me and very trusting in that he'll send me out across the world to go meet people. But I think you do kind of, if you're going to make a reasonable size investment, you do kind of need to get to know the founder and that sort of thing. So there will always be a time when you'll need to kind of bring him in and
so you're sort of tag teaming a little bit in meetings and
exactly. But I think like I said before, having me doing all that kind of groundwork and meeting people and talking to people about business means that he can actually run the business, which is sort of what people are buying into anyway, right?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's impressive, that you're out there doing all of this, and also kind of really championing and leading the way, to show other female entrepreneurs that you can certainly do this. There's nothing stopping you from doing it.
No, I genuinely, I don't think I've come up against, unless I'm totally blind, any kind of bias at all about being a woman and kind of talking to people and meeting investors. And like a lot of principals at VCs now are a female. It doesn't really seem to have an issue. I think maybe the only issue is sometimes you do get a bit of a confidence thing. I think even though for loads of women I know entrepreneurs are super confident, you do kind of have that panic where you go, oh, is this really happening?
Yeah, that kind of imposter syndrome, isn't it? I think I think we all suffer from it, really. It's just
one of the agenda thing, I don't know.
Yeah. But how do you do? I mean, what do you do when you start feeling those feelings?
I mean, sometimes I go bright red and stop talking. But no, I don't know. I guess it's normally too late when it happens. So I'll be kind of like pitching or something on stage, and
in the middle of a pitch, you go.
In the middle of a pitch, you go. It doesn't tend to last too long. I think normally when you kind of look into the audience and you're pitching and things, everyone sort of looks quite supportive. That makes sense. No one wants you to fail. No one's like, oh, I really hope this is a terrible pitch. Actually, she doesn't know what she's talking about. So when you kind of think that and think like this is quite a nice audience, then I think you can kind of go, right, well, people are backing me, come on, let's just do this.
Yeah, that's good. So you kind of feed off other people's reaction and brazen it out.
Yeah, a more eloquent way of putting it.
Yes. Fantastic. That's brilliant. So I guess, I've just got a couple more questions, really. If you could do anything differently on your raise, even though you made a great success of it, what do you think you might do differently if you could start again?
I think I've talked a lot about kind of how nuts it can be in terms of the volume of kind of inquiries and then talking to people and that sort of thing. I think you do tend to spread yourself too thinly when you're planning a raise, because you don't necessarily know what your funding sources are going to be. So, like I said, I might have spent a week's worth of business time chasing down UKVCs who are never going to invest at that point. So I think I'd probably start profiling my investors much earlier on and thinking a bit more cleverly about who is actually likely to invest, and looking at maybe similar companies and mapping out the tech landscape and our networks a bit better and a bit more smartly, rather than going, that person's got some money, I should I should go and speak to them. I think that's definitely what I'd certainly in the early stages I would do differently.
Yeah, it's good advice, because there are lots and lots of investors out there, and you do want to, I mean, you're running a sales funnel, aren't you? You want to put good quality people in the top of that funnel so that you don't waste your time speaking to anybody and everybody. But that it's a bit of an art and a science, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Better qualification.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And what do you think about how we can get more women going out there raising money? Because there's still not enough of us out there going out there and raising the money and scaling our businesses. It's still only around 7% in the UK of the money is going to female founded businesses.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty low. Yeah. What do you think we could do?
That's the wrong ratio. I think we all have a responsibility as people with experience fundraising to kind of to help each other out. So I think, if you do meet a fund or an angel or accelerator that's really supportive of you, and you get a bit of luck, or you kind of get someone who really gets what you understands, and why not, obviously once you've closed deal, kind of make an introduction, think, right, what other brilliant women do I know, pay it forward, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think actually the fact that you're talking to us now about your experience, you're paying it forward, and I think that actually has a huge impact to show other women that it can be done, and here's some pitfalls along the way, but it's very, very possible.
Good. So I'm glad. Thank you.
So what's next for Zzish then? Where are you taking the business next? And are you going to be out there raising funds again?
Always. We're actually having a bit of downtime at the moment. After our last round, we've got some quite two really big goals for this year. So we have always kind of scaled in the US market, but we've now got a very specific sales process that we are happy with and want to prove out, and we've really invested in our sales team actually to do that and to kind of get to those revenue milestones. And also in Southeast Asia, where we're looking at government deals, we kind of need to close those, and again make sure we've kind of got the technical development and infrastructure in place. So the whole company for once in a startup, and certainly the startup I've met, is aligned, really properly aligned actually towards those goals. So it's a good place to be. Yeah, and then we'll be raising a Series A in a few months' time. If any investors out there are watching this.
Well, I'm sure there will be. So hopefully you'll get some interest off the back of this. And it sounds like you're very focused about what you want to do next. That's really good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Well, I think what you're doing is brilliant. It sounds like an amazing service. I wish you all the best. And best of luck with the next round. All those investors out there that are listening, speak to Daisy, because she's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, Daisy. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks for following Fundraising Stories with Female Founders. This content is all provided to you for free, so if you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe so you never miss another one. Enter the Arena has helped hundreds of female founders fly through pre-raise and investment and onto the exponential growth of their business. Our first-hand experience, expert guidance, and proven programs help female founders unleash the Wonder Woman inside. To see if we can help you do the same, head over to www.enterthearena.co.uk. I'm Julia Elliott Brown, and I look forward to talking with you soon.